Hello, my name is Tara, and I have a story to share with you. This particular incident occurred a few months ago, and it still remains vivid in my memory. I want to share this story to shed light on toxic behavior and the importance of standing up against it. Currently, I am 32 years old, and my small family consists of my husband Stephen, who is also 32, and our adorable kitten. Stephen and I have been together since high school, and despite attending different colleges in separate states, our relationship has remained strong. Next month, we will be celebrating our 15th anniversary as a couple. However, there is one person who won't be invited to our celebration, my mother-in-law, Lily. Right from the beginning, Lily never really took a liking to me. She has 2 sons and has always showered them with excessive attention and affection. In her eyes, no one was worthy of her precious boys. When Steve and his older brother, Sean, were younger, they reveled in their mother's doting and loving nature. Who wouldn't appreciate a caring and devoted mother? Their love for her blinded them to her controlling and manipulative ways. As they grew older, Lily's controlling behavior became an issue for her teenage sons. They were not allowed to date or even interact with girls outside of school. Sleepovers with friends were strictly forbidden, and any form of disagreement would result in grounding. Both Steve and Sean attended the same high school as me, so I knew them to some extent. While Steve somewhat agreed with Lily's rules, Sean chose to rebel. He frequently got into trouble for sneaking out and spending time with friends. I had the most incredible experience with a group of young women. One of the girls, Lily, had a rather overbearing mother who would go to great lengths to intimidate anyone who came close to her daughter. However, what Lily didn't realize was that her boyfriend, Sean, had developed a strong sense of self and refused to be swayed by Lily's mother's threats. In fact, Sean stood up for his now-wife Jessie when Lily attempted to scare her away and insult her. As they entered adulthood, Sean and Jessie gradually distanced themselves from Lily, which didn't sit well with her. Even Stephen, Sean's brother, thought that he was taking it too far. At the time, I was in a new relationship with Stephen, so I decided to stay out of the situation to avoid any unnecessary conflicts. Little did I know that Lily would soon turn her attention towards me. She went to extreme lengths to try and break us up, even going as far as organizing an expensive trip to Hawaii during prom week to prevent us from going together. Stephen pleaded with his mother to cancel the trip, but it was the only time he went against her wishes. Throughout all of this, every time Lily would call and berate me, Stephen remained silent and did nothing to defend me. Lily even went as far as to claim that I would cheat on Stephen once I went off to college. This started to affect Stephen's confidence when we both got accepted to different colleges in different states. We decided to take a short break, and during that time, Lily took Stephen out to celebrate our breakup. However, she never expected Stephen to come back to me. Naturally, Lily was furious and felt threatened by my presence. She began harassing and humiliating me at every opportunity she got. I did my best till I had a conversation with Stephen, but it happened like this. "Stephen, your mother is extremely disrespectful to me. I have always made an effort to be friendly and welcoming towards her. However, all she does is criticize me and insult me. I am becoming weary of her behavior. You need to take action regarding this. Tara, you know my mother is a bit sensitive. Considering what happened with Sean, she is afraid of losing me too. She only has good intentions for me and my future. You shouldn't take her words to heart. So you're okay with how Lily treats me? Seriously? Steve? You remember she attempted to end our relationship, right? She only did that because she believed you would cheat. If you had cheated on me, I would have been devastated. She wanted to spare me from a painful heartbreak. Are you serious? She manipulated your insecurities to break us up. How can you justify that? No matter what I said, Steve never agreed with my point of view. He always believed that I was overreacting and that Lily would never treat me poorly. He flat out refused to believe me when I told him that Lily calls me to insult me. He always insisted that Lily would never do such a thing and accused me of falsely accusing her. Even Scene tried to reason with him once he knew everything. He argued with Scene and accused him of betraying their mother. Things were quite strained between Scene and Stephen. Scene ended up marrying Jessica, his high school girlfriend whom Lily tried to intimidate. When Scene and I were invited to the wedding, Lily was left out. She was very upset and tried to persuade Stephen to talk to Scene and get her an invitation. Stephen, being a mama's boy, argued with Scene about Lily. He almost didn't go to the wedding to support her. I also argued with Scene about Lily. Stephen almost didn't go to the wedding to support her. However, I said to him, "Do you want to boycott the wedding to support Lily? You know what she did to Scene and Jessie in high school. She still complains about Jessie and says that she took Scene away from her. Why do you think they should invite her to their wedding?" I explained to Stephen that he didn't have all the information and that it was a big misunderstanding. She was just trying to do what was best for Scene. Sometimes Mom gets carried away, but she is willing to mend fences. We are family, and we shouldn't hold grudges against each other. It's their wedding, and they have the right to choose who to invite. It's not our place to make requests. We need to respect their decision. I know I can't do much, which is why I am not attending the wedding. I want them to realize that they are making a mistake. I will RSVP tomorrow, giving them plenty of time to change their minds. I reminded Stephen that if he doesn't go to the wedding, they might cut him out too, just like they did to Lily. I asked him if he was sure he wanted to lose his brother over this issue. After a lot of back and forth, he finally agreed to attend the wedding. I was so happy because I thought things might have began to notice a shift in the dynamics between Scene, Jessie, and Lily. Scene and Jessie seemed much happier without Lily's interference. They decided to move far away and even planned their wedding in a location where Lily couldn't show up. When Stephen showed Lily the pictures of the wedding, she completely lost control. She cried on his shoulder and demanded that he stay with her for a whole month. Stephen even canceled our trip to Colorado to make it up to her. I was devastated by how he handled the situation, but I knew that breaking up was not an option for us. I held on to the hope that Stephen would eventually realize how terrible Lily's behavior was. Fast forward to 2 years ago, Stephen finally proposed to me and I happily accepted. Lily was furious but put on a fake smile for him. Later, I found out that she had refused to give him her engagement ring because she believed I was only after his money and that our marriage wouldn't last. I must say, I absolutely adore the ring Stephen chose for me. Both of us being engineers, we were financially stable, and he was more than capable of buying a ring on his own. Plus, I would much rather wear something he picked out than have anything from Lily. The process of planning our wedding turned into a nightmare. Lily constantly inserted herself into every aspect, from cake tastings to venue searches. She despised my ideas and even tried to change the theme. Lily claimed that my vintage theme was dull and tacky, and unfortunately, my then-fiancé took her side. Stephen and I found ourselves arguing about every single detail. The decision we made. I stood my ground and had a conversation with him. This situation is becoming absurd. We are the ones getting married. Your mother should give us the freedom to make our own choices. I don't need her input on everything. She dislikes everything I have decided. You should ask her to step back. Tara, Mom only wants what's best for us. She has attended more weddings than we have. I'm certain her advice will be valuable to us in the future. You know she couldn't attend Scene's wedding. She just wants to enjoy mine. I'm tired of hearing this excuse. She deserved to be uninvited from Scene's wedding. That was entirely her fault. Just because Jessie didn't allow her to interfere, I won't include her in everything. She is welcome to join us, but making mean comments about my choices is unacceptable. This is our wedding, Stephen. She already had hers. Well, after a lot of persuading and pleading, he finally decided to ask Lily to give us some space. She did throw a tantrum, but calmed down a bit. Unfortunately, Stephen prioritized her preferences and made many changes. I was initially quite upset, but I also knew it was Stephen's special day, so I compromised in a few areas to avoid further trouble. I still hadn't developed a strong backbone, and Stephen was too confused to think clearly. The wedding turned into another disaster when Lily showed up wearing a white dress. It was so shiny and lacy that everyone could see it was a wedding gown. Thankfully, Stephen realized the issue with her dress and insisted she change before the ceremony. I recently attended a wedding where there was quite a bit of drama. One of the guests, Lily, seemed to be causing trouble from the start. She pretended not to have another dress to wear, but my maid of honor and best friend came to the rescue with a beautiful pale blue gown that fit her perfectly. I had a feeling she was planning to wear white, so I had already bought her a decent dress out of my own pocket. Lily couldn't come up with any more excuses and had to wear the dress. During the reception, she made some emotional speeches about losing her children to other women. She specifically targeted me and my partner, Jessie, because we were getting married. We tried to avoid her, but she was determined to remind us of our supposed worthlessness. She even tried to paint Jessie's mother as a poor mother-in-law. The atmosphere at the wedding became quite uncomfortable, and even Lily's own family was embarrassed by her behavior. Thankfully, my maid of honor took control of the situation and lightened the mood by taking the microphone away from Lily. To make matters worse, Lily continued to call us incessantly during our honeymoon. She would call my partner, Stephen, and cry about feeling lonely. When she couldn't reach him, she would call me instead. She would accuse me of keeping Stephen away from her and claim that he would always choose her over me. It was exhausting dealing with her constant calls, sometimes up to 6 times a day. I tried to explain to Lily that we were on our honeymoon and needed some space, but she wouldn't listen. She believed that Stephen would always prioritize her over anyone else, including me. It was frustrating trying to reason with her. Eventually, Stephen's phone died, so he went back to our room to charge it. Lily accused me of intentionally keeping him away from her, claiming that I was greedy. I couldn't understand why she thought I would want to keep them apart. I knew how important their relationship was to both of them. Dealing with Lily's behavior was definitely challenging, but we tried our best to enjoy our honeymoon despite the constant interruptions. During our honeymoon, I had numerous conversations with my mother-in-law that were quite challenging. Upon returning home, we had to address her persistent crying for days on end. It saddened her that we hadn't taken her along on our honeymoon. I was quite surprised when she scolded my husband for going without her. Nevertheless, Stephen did everything he could to console his mother and disregarded my concerns. Slowly but surely, I was learning to tolerate her outbursts and assert myself. Everything was relatively smooth until a few months ago when I discovered that I was expecting our first child. We were both overjoyed, and Steve wanted to inform Lily right away. Although I felt a bit uneasy, I decided to let it slide, assuming she would be thrilled about becoming a grandmother. Unfortunately, I couldn't have been more mistaken. As soon as she found out, the floodgates of tears and screams opened. She accused me of trapping Steve with a baby and taking him away from her. It was all part of her plan to isolate him and claim his money. However, I refused to let that happen. Steve has been taking care of me ever since his father passed away 10 years ago. He sends me money every month and showers me with gifts, but I don't depend on him financially. I earn a decent income, so I have no need for his money. It's unfair for Lily to accuse me of such things. She can deceive him, but I am well aware of her true character. Now, I demand that you hand the phone over to my child immediately. I need to speak with him urgently. I was formulating my grand plan. She was convinced that I had been unfaithful to Stephen and had deceived him by passing off the baby as his own. My spouse did his utmost to calm her down, but she stubbornly refused to listen to reason. At this point, I had grown weary of her antics. Her outbursts continued for a fortnight before she decided to pay us a visit. Early in the morning, she let herself in using a spare key. Lily seemed unusually cheerful about our baby and even attempted to shower me with gifts. Stephen was pleased, thinking that Lily had finally accepted the child. However, the truth was quite different. I felt a sense of unease regarding her sudden happiness and decided to exercise caution. In the evening, Lily offered to make us some tea. She claimed that it was getting cold outside and a warm cup of tea would be comforting. Steve expressed his gratitude for her kindness, giving me a smug, "I told you so" look. I chose to ignore him and took it upon myself to conduct some investigation. Excusing myself, I went to check on Lily in the kitchen. I observed her preparing the tea and adding something from a container. Both my husband and I have a lactose intolerance, so we exclusively use a specific brand of oat milk for our tea. The carton of milk Lily was using did not match our usual brand. I noticed that she used the oat milk for 1 cup and the suspicious container for the other. Initially, I assumed she was merely using a different type of plant-based milk for variety. Nevertheless, a sense of unease still lingered within me. When she placed the dubious mug in front of me, panic began to set in. Acting impulsively, I switched my husband's cup with mine as I was surprised when I noticed that they weren't paying attention. My companions and I enjoyed our tea, while across the couch, Lily couldn't help but smirk at me. Fortunately, nothing eventful occurred for the remainder of the evening. However, in the early hours of the morning, I heard my spouse vomiting in the bathroom. They made several trips back and forth, and the noise woke me up. Eventually, they entered the living room and laid down on the couch. Concerned, I approached them and inquired about their well-being. Stephen appeared to be in significant pain. Lily emerged from her room, visibly worried. As she witnessed Stephen writhing in agony, she became frightened and began to sob uncontrollably. It was at this moment that everything clicked for me. This woman had used cow's milk in our tea. I was prepared to confront her, but first, I needed to take Stephen to the hospital. I dialed 911 and requested an ambulance. Stephen was experiencing intense stomach pain and was on the verge of losing consciousness. We transported him to the hospital and anxiously waited for the medication to take effect. When the doctor arrived for a consultation, I brought Lily along with me. In front of Stephen and the doctor, I compelled Lily to confess to her actions. Given her concern for her son, it wasn't difficult to make her admit her wrongdoing. The doctor simply shook their head and informed us that Stephen would need to be hospitalized for a day. After the doctors departed, Stephen appeared troubled. Suddenly, clarity began to dawn on him. He was bewildered by Lily's actions. He turned to her and asked, "Mom, you know I have a milk allergy. Why did you utilize it? We do not even store cow milk in our refrigerator. Why did you bring it to our residence? Even Tara does not consume cow milk, and you are well aware of that. Stephen, believe me, I did not intend to harm you. I do not know how this occurred. Naturally, I am aware that my baby cannot have milk. I am your mother. Then why did you include milk in my tea, Mom?" What transpired? Lily simply continued crying in a corner. That is when I resolved to disclose the truth to him. I comprehend why Lily brought cow milk into our abode. You see, you were not supposed to consume it. It was meant for me. What are you implying, Tara? You cannot consume cow milk either. I am certain Mom is aware of that as well. Why would she bring cow milk for you? I do not comprehend. Lily simply desired to harm me and our baby. I do not know what she sought to accomplish, but she wanted me to endure suffering. She handed me the cup you drink from. I swapped our cups when she was not looking. I did not want to jeopardize the health of our child. Turns out I was correct. There is no way she would do that. You were lying, Tara. Mom, say something. You informed me you were happy for us. Tell me you did not do this. Lily essentially commenced to wail and scream cry at this point. It became so noisy that a nurse had to escort her out. Not that any of us desired her there any longer. Stephen was rather shocked and traumatized by what Lily did. He sincerely apologized to me and vowed to keep Lily away from our lives. I could discern that he was hurt by what Lily did. I comforted him to the best of my ability, and I arrived back at our residence the following day. In addition, I successfully replaced the lock on our dwelling while Stephen was in the hospital. He phoned Lily and informed her that we were severing all communication with her permanently. This prompted more crying and lamenting on her part. She exclaimed, "No, you are unable to execute this action towards me. I am your maternal figure. You are forbidden from severing ties with me, Stephen. I implore you. You are forbidden from severing ties with me, Stephen. I implore you. Mother, given your past actions, I have no desire for your presence. I have consistently defended and supported you, but I was oblivious to the extent of the harm you were inflicting upon my family. I will no longer tolerate this behavior. You have crossed a boundary. Stephen, please. I did not intend for this situation to unfold in this manner. She was monopolizing all of your time, and I was feeling isolated. I believed that introducing a child into the equation would exacerbate matters. I simply wished to inflict some pain upon her and make her experience suffering. I apologize. Expressing remorse at this point is futile. You have committed an act that is beyond forgiveness. I cannot even fathom the consequences had Tara consumed the tea you had given her. I am utterly repulsed by your actions, and I do not wish to hear your voice ever again. Leave us be." And so we gradually began cutting off contact with her. She appeared at our residence and attempted to gain entry using her keys. Upon realizing that we had changed the lock, she resorted to forcefully pounding on the door. We promptly contacted the authorities and allowed them to handle the situation. We also blocked her on all of our mobile devices and social media platforms. Sean and Jesse reached out to our extended family members to inform them about the predicament. Every individual was utterly disgusted and horrified by the situation. In terms of her demeanor, after conversing with me, Stephen, Sean, and Jesse, we collectively decided to impose a restraining order on her. With the abundance of evidence captured by our security camera and her admission to the doctor, the order was promptly approved. Up until now, she has refrained from approaching us directly, but has attempted to extract information from our extended family. Thus far, no one has acquiesced to her demands. Additionally, we have terminated our financial assistance, compelling her to seek employment at Walmart to sustain herself. We are gradually rebuilding our relationships with Sean and Jesse. Stephen and Sean engaged in a heartfelt conversation, resolving their issues. As for Jesse and myself, we have always been close friends, so this situation has only strengthened our bond. Fortunately, my spouse has finally come to his senses and shielded me from Lily's influence. Currently, we are content and eagerly anticipating the arrival of our child. To err on the side of caution, I reminded my husband that I will not permit Lily to establish any connection with our child. Surprisingly, he immediately agreed to this stipulation. Since Lily's departure, we have been relishing the tranquility within our household. It is possible that we may relocate to Shawn City after our child is born. Although uncertain of what lies ahead, I am confident that we will overcome any obstacles together. Farewell.